Hey everybody, thanks for joining me for a little New Year's check-in. It's a couple days away from 2026. So as usual, I just want to discuss my top 5 albums of the year, a couple other things I've been interested in, and some things I'm anticipating in 2026. So we'll start off with my top 5 albums of the year. I didn't buy that many new albums. Definitely spent more time filling in some gaps in my collection. But the albums that I do think are the very best, I always make sure I get a copy of those, and this year's no exception. Number 5, Titan Blood from the Visceral Abyss. I talked about this just a couple weeks ago. And a Black Death band from Spain. And what I like about this is that as much as I love the Black Death mixture, that stuff can get old pretty quick, and this one stays in rotation. Discover new things every time. I just never get bored of this one. So that's my number 5. Number 4, Birthing by Swans. Is it one of the best Swans albums? No, but Swans are one of my favorite bands, and definitely finds itself in my top 5. Over the last couple months, I've listened to all my Swans albums a couple times each, and you got a Swans ranking coming your way very soon. Number 3, Evoken, Mendacium, released on Profound Lore. For lack of a better word, we'll call it Funeral Doom. The thing I like about Evoken is that there's just, compared to other Funeral Doom bands, just a bit more room to breathe. A lot of bands like Shape of Despair and stuff, it just kind of feels like this big, thick block where you just kind of float around in it. But Evoken gives the music a little bit more time to breathe, more contrast in what they're doing. Pretty much all their albums are exceptional, and this one is no exception. So Evoken comes in at number 3. Number 2, Feral Darkness by Tombs. As you can see in my Tombs ranking, I think this is by far the best thing Tombs has ever put out. The most variety, the most emotional moments. Again, I think this is a minor masterpiece, and I'm definitely not done with this album yet. Number 1, Raw Blue by the shoegaze band Were. Were are one of my favorite bands, and I should mention once again my top band on my Spotify Wrapped. Definitely gonna take some time to discuss this album in detail, so I'll leave it at that, but Were, Raw Blue, by far my favorite album of 2025. Couple honorable mentions. That Finnish band, Have a Crew New, I think. You've been seeing that on year-end lists all over the place. I have not gotten a copy of that, but I've listened to it, and it really does that Finnish black metal meets Viking era Bathory. I think it's pretty awesome. Need to get myself a copy of that. And I haven't listened to it yet, but Never Give In, the newest album by Today Is the Day. Another one of my favorite bands, but I'm waiting till I got that physical in my hands before I check it out. Top movies of the year. Thought it was a pretty weak year for movies, all things considered, but number 3, I'll give it to Eddington. Ari Aster directed with Joaquin Phoenix starring. When I saw it in the theater, I loved it. I watched it again at home with my wife. Didn't like it as much the second time, but I still think that's almost an 8 out of 10. I really liked it. Friendship with Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson. I think Tim Robinson's pretty hilarious. And off of that movie was great too. And then number 1, no surprises here. Most people are giving this movie of the year, especially horror movie of the year, but that was the only time this year where I walked out of the theater saying I give that a solid 8.5, 9 out of 10, that being Weapons. So if you're one of the few people that haven't seen that, I totally recommend checking it out. Not perfect again. A couple things I think could have been removed, and the ending was a little silly. But again, I think it was a great movie. Top 3 shows of the year. Number 1, I got to give it to Deceased, opening for Coroner back in February, March. I thought that was just a killer set, pretty much perfect. And I think everyone else who was there that night will agree with me. Number 2, Attic, headlining Dead by Dog. I had a great time at the show, but I thought the Attic performance was pretty awesome. I watched it in its entirety on YouTube a couple times. And check that show out if you haven't. Then I'm going to go with We're at the Danforth Music Hall. It was actually on my 42nd birthday back in the summer. Went with my wife, had an amazing time, and maybe I'll go into more detail when I talk about We're a little more close. 2026, I definitely have a lot of shows I'm looking forward to, and tickets already purchased. First one is going to be Ghost in Toronto. Going to go with my wife and son. That should be a good time because we never go to shows together, the three of us. My son and I are also going to go to Guns N' Roses next summer. We've seen them before, but we had to leave early. Definitely some tracks I want to see performed. Iron Maiden in August. I haven't bought tickets yet. I'm having trouble finding 2 tickets together at a price that I want to pay, but I think I got to be there. I've seen them a number of times, but it's one of my son's favorite bands. He's never seen them. And also, you have Megadeth and Anthrax opening. And I've never been a huge fan of either one. I've listened to basically no Megadeth after Euthanasia, and nothing by Anthrax after Sound of a White Noise. However, I got nothing against these bands, and as much as I'm just obsessed with metal, that is a lot of material by popular bands that I want to get acquainted with before and after that show comes around. So definitely gotta get those Iron Maiden tickets and brush up on my Anthrax and Megadeth knowledge. What else? I got tickets for Mortis in, I think, April in Toronto. I like the old stuff, not the new stuff. Curious to see what he performs. But they have Uada opening up, so add some metal into the bill. Rome, the neo-folk guy, I like his stuff. And I think one other dungeon synth style group. I forget the name, but that should be a cool experience. Most importantly, Emperor in Toronto in March. I don't think Emperor have played in Toronto since their one and only performance. Again, I think their only one and only performance in Toronto back in 1999, I want to say. I was a little bit too young to make that show, but Emperor are the only bucket list band that I had a realistic shot at seeing. So that is coming into reality. Yeah, those tickets were expensive. I think it was $100 a ticket for a club show, and I think the tickets might even be a little bit more now. But I can't miss that one. Blood Incantation is opening up. Kind of a weird opener, but I do like Blood Incantation, so I'll take it. Prepare the Ground. Metal Festival in Toronto, multi-day. I think this will be the 3rd year. And I've never made it. The timing didn't work for me. But this year, one of the headlining bands is Paul Bearer, my current favorite band. And they will be performing Foundations of Burden, probably their best album in its entirety. So I just can't miss that show and risk waiting for those single-day tickets to come. So I did buy the 3-day pass. Lots of other good stuff there. Stygian Bow, Orancy Pazuzu, Torch, just off the top of my head. But there's already 2 dozen announced bands, and a lot of them are really good. And where I hope they perform is that this festival is spread between 3 venues in close proximity. And one of those venues is St. Paul's Trinity United Church. And I saw Bellwitch perform live there a couple years ago. I thought it was really epic, and I got my fingers crossed that that is where Pallbearer will be performing their set. And finally, Dead by Dog Volume 2 in August in Cleveland. Basically, in a couple weeks, I'll be able to have that time off approved or not. And if that time off gets approved, I will be going. Like the first Dead by Dog, I like most of these bands, don't really love any of them. But it'll be a great experience. I like Denial of... Again, I pretty much like all these bands to some extent. Mostly looking forward to, I would say... maybe Flesh Parade. I remember them going all the way back to being like 13 when Kill Whitey came out. And brings back a lot of memories. And I'm looking forward to all these things. Hope you guys have a great New Year's. Next time you see me, I'll maybe get rid of my Halloween background finally. And I'll see you then.